like and subscribe for more weekly content.
Weekly content.
I was sick. It was a mix of a seasonal cold and a chronic lack of discipline.
Let's go gambling.
Also, the scope of this video got slightly out of hand. I wanted to make a video about the last couple of Fast and Furious movies and how bad they were.
Well, that was new.
But the last time I tackled a big franchise without rewatching everything, I made a mistake. I said that the vents in Alien Romulus were a reference to Alien Isolation, even though they actually go all the way back to the original Alien.
Hello? Anybody home?
Fortunately, no one actually saw that video, and that's okay. It didn't hurt my feelings at all. Only a crazy person would base their entire sense of self-worth on the unpredictable whims of an algorithm. And do I sound crazy to you? So anyway, I watched all 11 Fast and Furious movies in 1 week. I also watched the 2 short films, unsuccessfully tried to track down a National Geographic documentary about street racing in Los Angeles, and before I came to my senses, there was a brief, passing moment where I considered subjecting myself to the 6-season animated TV series.
So why do you need us? Dom's right here.
There's no way I could show up at a race without everybody recognizing me.
Was it worth it? Absolutely. I noticed all kinds of things you would only spot if you watch every movie back to back. For example, director Justin Lin's son has a cameo in both the 5th and 6th movie.
Well, that's neat.
That's the same kid that also came up with the idea for the magnet plane in F9. So if you're watching these movies and thinking, did an 8-year-old come up with this? You might be right. What else? Oh yeah, this guy from Too Fast, Too Furious, the one Brian beats in a tag race. He has a small cameo in Furious 7. What's his character's name? Corpy. Huh. That's quite the life trajectory for Corpy. From street racer to mercenary working for an international terrorist. Then again, the main characters go from street racers to super spies, so I guess anything's possible.
Well, that was new.
Maybe that's the point. Maybe Corpy is the dark, tragic mirror to our heroes and their story. While they reach staggering new heights, Corpy sinks to depressing new lows. The franchise has a long memory when it comes to even its most minor characters, and a tendency to redeem its villains. So you know what? I, for one, am pretty excited and curious about the next chapter in the story of Corpy. Okay, so maybe not all of the things I noticed in my Fast and Furious marathon are that interesting, but it was still worth it to see them all. It's a wild and crazy journey that starts on the neon-lit streets of Los Angeles and ends up in outer space.
What we gonna do? Hijack a space shuttle?
That's exactly what we're gonna do.
How did that happen? Let me take you for a ride. Not a quarter mile, but a quarter century's worth of ridiculous movies that make up one of the most fascinating blockbuster franchises ever.
Time to unleash the beast.
Spoilers.
It all starts with The Fast and the Furious, which is basically Point Break, with cars. Undercover Cop is after a crew of professional robbers that are a part of a community of thrill seekers. In Point Break, it's surfers who rob banks, and in The Fast and the Furious, it's street racers who hijack trucks carrying DVD players. Remember this! I'll have a mildly interesting tangent about it later.
This is DVD.
The cop is drawn to their outlaw ways, forms a strong bond with their charismatic leader, and starts a romantic relationship with a woman close to the crew.
Hey, I've seen this one. This is a classic.
Things fall apart when the truth comes out, and the robbers start pushing their luck.
This don't feel good.
Don't do that.
Something's wrong.
Stop.
Hammer time!
You're blowing it, man! You're breaking your own rules! You're pulling too much time!
Don't worry, man. It's fine. It's great.
But in the end, the cop refuses to bring the leader in, out of mutual respect and brotherhood.
Alright, guy.
There are some key differences.
I'm listening.
For example, Point Break is good.
Yeah, well, that's just like, your opinion, man.
Keanu Reeves' Johnny Utah, great name, is better written and a lot more interesting than Paul Walker's Brian O'Connor.
Hey man, this is bullshit.
We know that Johnny is a lawman from the start, which gives us a baseline. We can see how getting close to the surfers changes him.
Anyway, what's his problem? We're handling our caseload. I'm surfing on my own time. Look, Angela, you think I joined the FBI to learn to surf?
Eventually.
If I didn't know better, I'd say you looked almost happy.
The next morning.
Holy shit.
What?
Shit. You guys need any help? I can't believe you're late to your own raid. What a flake.
While the audience knows that Patrick Swayze's Bodhi is the bad guy, because his name and face are on the poster, he's not a suspect right away. Johnny and Bodhi's friendship starts out genuine, so when Johnny eventually figures it out, he's understandably conflicted. In The Fast and the Furious, Brian being a cop is revealed more than 30 minutes into the film, and Vin Diesel's Dominic Toretto is already a target of the undercover investigation.
We all know this world revolves around Toretto, right? I'm not saying that he's necessarily the one that's popping these trucks, but I can guarantee the both of you that he knows who is.
It's not that good of a twist, and it comes at the expense of both Brian's character and his relationship with Dom. In Point Break, Bodhi helps Johnny before either of them knows the truth about the other.
Back off! He's with me!
But when Brian helps Dom escape the cops, he's already investigating him and actively trying to get close.
Get in!
I like Dom and Brian in the sequels.
We're gonna need 2 precision drivers. Guys that don't crack under pressure. Guys that never lose.
You know we got that.
In the first movie, I just don't buy it. We don't know enough about Brian to understand his motivation.
You don't know that fool for shit.
Yeah, he's right, dog.
Since there was a time when I didn't know you.
That was in the 3rd grade!
Johnny Utah was a star athlete who didn't go pro because of a knee injury.
Yeah, I got my knee folded back about 90 degrees the wrong way.
Whoa, that's why you never went pro?
2 years of surgery, missed my window.
A life of excitement and adrenaline is replaced by a stick-up-your-ass job in law enforcement.
We don't drink and we sure as hell don't smoke.
Sir, I take the skin off chicken.
Good man. Do you know how we nail the bad guys, Utah? By crunching data. Good crime scene work, good lab work, and most importantly, good data-based analysis.
Well, life's not over yet, man. You're surfing.
All we learn about Brian is that he boosted cars when he was younger, and even then it's not clear if that's real or a part of his cover.
What about the 2 years in juvie for boosting cars?
When he's asked about it, Brian immediately deflects.
So why bullshit?
So what about you?
We don't get a chance to connect with the guy and find out what makes him tick.
You want that detective badge fast, kid. The FBI can help if you come through for us.
Why does that matter to him? Why does helping Dom matter more? Even Brian's relationship with Mia, Dom's sister, played by Jordana Brewster, is just kind of plain and dull. Boy likes girl, girl likes boy. Boy is actually a cop investigating girl's brother for high-speed hijacking.
Sorry, I yawned because I was trying to communicate boredom.
In Point Break, Lori Petty's Tyler saves Johnny from drowning the first time they meet, and later she's the one that teaches him how to surf. There's also an extra level of personal betrayal, because to get close to her, Johnny lies that his parents are dead.
I'll bet you lied about everything. I'll bet you lied about your parents! Did your parents die in a car accident?
They live in Columbus, Ohio. I work bank robbery. The guys I'm after are surfers. I needed you at first, but after that I didn't.
Fuck you!
That's slightly more hurtful than pretending to like a tuna sandwich.
I like the tuna here.
Bullshit, asshole. No one likes a tuna here.
Yeah, well, I do.
Brian also tells Mia the truth on his own, unlike Johnny, who is forced at gunpoint to admit what Tyler already figured out herself. And to make the whole thing have even less impact, Mia doesn't really get to react. I'm sure she's angry, confused, hurt, but too bad, there's no time for that.
Brian!
If your brother's out there, he's about to pull a job and we're running out of time.
Fuck you!
Come on, Mia, she needs Dom's cell phone number now.
Fortunately, Dom is both interesting and cool enough to carry the movie on his own. It helps that Vin Diesel is a charismatic actor with an amazing voice. But there's also layers to Dom, just like an ogre. Dom's a confident, assertive leader, but not quite the family patriarch of later movies. He can lose his temper pretty badly.
Don't stop it! Please stop! Stop! Please stop!
And that's how he ended up in prison. Life can be difficult for former convicts. Poor Dom can't even afford an entire mile.
I live my life a quarter mile at a time. For those 10 seconds or less, I'm free.
Is Dom a better character than Bodhi?
This is one of those times when you need to be very clear about what you say.
I don't know about that, but he is more likable.
Brian, I gotta find Jesse before they do. I'm all the kids got.
I understand why Johnny lets Bodhi go.
Guy?
But I don't know if I would make the same choice, because Bodhi is an asshole whose reckless, poor judgment resulted in several people dying. I do not understand why Brian lets Dom go, and in later movies, a few characters will straight up ask him why he did it.
So why you let that dude go in LA?
Why'd you let my brother go that day?
But if it was my call, I'd probably let Dom run away too. Dom runs so far away that he isn't even in the sequel. It's a shame because we could have had a Riddick and John's reunion.
Fuck you.
Ironically, Vin Diesel opted to do an actual Riddick movie instead.
Stay behind the night, ahead of the sun.
Go! 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 Go!
God, I love the Chronicles of Riddick. I really need to make a video about it at some point. So, Too Fast, Too Furious, apart from having one of the greatest titles for a sequel in the history of cinema, introduces a new partner in crime for Brian. Meet Roman Pierce, played by Tyrese Gibson. In later movies, Roman is the comic relief with a big mouth.
He says Caucasian. Oh, that's a tan. No, a tan? It's your birthday, right? Are you Jasmine?
Oh, God, no, not the birthday routine.
But as a co-star that's meant to fill the Vin Diesel-sized hole in the franchise,
phrasing?
He's more serious and tough in this one.
Bruh.
Still a goofball, but not a joke.
Hey, man. You got something to eat up in there? We hungry.
And I'll personally hand you 100 G's at the finish line. Make it 100 G's apiece, Poppy. Like I said, we hungry.
One journey through space later.
Man, how much candy did you eat?
Well, I eat candy when I get nervous.
If you shark in this Fiero, I swear to... Really? Really, Taj?
We also moved from LA to Miami, and if you want to find out how that happened, make sure to watch the turbocharged prelude for Too Fast, Too Furious, a short film which fills in the critical gap on how Brian drove to Miami and bought a Skyline.
Riveting.
I will give the turbocharged prelude credit for being a 5-minute short with no dialogue, just pure, cheesy visual storytelling with bad music. It's not a good short, but it is an interesting curiosity. So Brian is now a turbocharged Miami street racer.
Ready! 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 Ready!
After the really fun opening race, he gets picked up by the cops. They want him to go undercover to take down a drug lord, and he picks Roman to be his partner, because no one else in the FBI or Customs even knows what an automobile is.
Could you tell me right quick, what would be a better motor for my Skyline, a Gallo 12 or a Gallo 24?
24.
I didn't know pizza places made motors.
Roman and Brian are a pretty good duo. It's a much more believable, easygoing friendship than the underdeveloped, murky stuff with Dom in the first movie.
Alright, Rome, I got something for your ass.
Shit.
Yeah, Rome, Eddie like them apples! Show off!
These are just two goofy bros having fun. It helps that they already share some history.
Still fight like shit. Still fight like shit.
That's right, we actually find out things about Brian's past in this one.
I'm listening.
He and Roman were childhood friends. Roman doesn't like that Brian became a cop, and blames him for getting busted.
It's an opportunity for a fresh start. Now let's just go do this, all right?
I wouldn't need a fresh start if it wasn't for you.
When you got busted, you know, whether I was a cop or not, you know, if there's anything I could have done, you know, I would have done it.
Is that why you let that dude go in L.A.?
Oh, my God. I get it.
We also meet Tej, played by Ludacris.
All right, fire him up!
He's a master hacker and tech expert. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead a little bit. He's not a master hacker and tech expert. Yet. Here he's just a laid-back dude who hosts street races in Miami.
Each car does a down and back tag team style. Slips.
I will remember you.
Too Fast, Too Furious is fine. It's not a good movie, but it is a good time. I watched it a lot as a kid.
You might want to keep your eyes on the road, Playboy.
What, you think we're gonna crash?
I haven't decided yet.
What are you doing, Brian?
He did the stare and drive on you, didn't he? He got that from me.
What I didn't watch, and even actively avoided for a long time, was Tokyo Drift. The first sequel was already missing one of its main stars.
Fuck you.
And the next movie has no returning characters or even recognizable big names. New setting, new cast, and a title that feels like a gimmick and quickly became a punchline. Add bad reviews to a movie that already looked more like a desperate spin-off than a true sequel, and I thought the series was done. It looked embarrassing, and as a serious 11-year-old, I had better things to spend my time on, like Transformers.
Bumblebee, stop lubricating the man.
Get that thing to stop, huh?
However, Tokyo Drift's reputation has gotten a lot better over the years.
I would start with Tokyo Drift.
And for reasons that I'll get into later, it became a very important movie for the series. So, many years later, I finally saw The Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift.
It's really, really good.
Easily one of the best movies in the series. A bold, original new direction, and a fresh perspective on an international subculture of street racing.
You had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
This daring, innovative new chapter stars a generic white guy and his comic relief black friend. Tokyo Drift is your basic fish out of water story. Sean, played by Lucas Black, has to move to Tokyo because his love for reckless driving gets him in trouble. That same love gets him involved with the local drift racers.
Good luck, Timberlake.
He eats shit immediately because he has no idea how to drift. So now he has to learn. There's a bad guy, a love interest, you know the drill.
Hey, I've seen this one.
There's also Han, played by Sung Kang. Han is great. He teaches Sean how to drift and snacks all the time. Everybody loves Han. And yes, I know he first appeared in Justin Lin's Better Luck Tomorrow. I haven't seen it, I wanna see it, but this video is already a lot longer than I planned.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
Other movies in this franchise have better action sequences, more compelling characters, or engaging stories, but Tokyo Drift has the best and the coolest driving, and it's not even close. It's also way more about driving than a lot of the other movies. It's the only one that ends with an actual race, and a damn good one too. Dom and Brian's quarter-mile showdown in the first one is more symbolic than anything else. In Tokyo Drift, there's a proper finish line that someone needs to cross first.
We race. And the loser leaves town for good.
I've already beat this piece of shit once.
Good. They should be easy.
I also love that we see Sean learning and improving his skills.
Again?
From his very first race, we know that he's good, but lacks precision and control, especially on turns. The first time he tries to drift, he fails miserably. Which makes his eventual success more satisfying. Brian was a bad driver initially too, but we don't really track his progress in the same way.
Shit!
Bottom line, if you're only going to watch one movie from this franchise, go with Tokyo Drift. Hey, remember that thing about the DVD players?
Flashback.
Remember this. I'll have a mildly interesting tangent about it later.
End of flashback.
At one point in the sixth movie, Dom confronts the film's villain, Owen Shaw, played by Luke Evans. Shaw is after a dangerous electromagnetic weapon that really puts the Mac in your guffin, and he points out how far Dom and his team have come.
Street kid. Starts out stealing DVD players in East LA. Ends up heisting $100 million in Rio.
Dom used to steal DVD players has become a common way for people to express their amazement at how long the series has been around for and how crazy it's become. To be clear, the series has always been ridiculous and over the top. The first movie ends with Dom and Brian drag racing a speeding train at a crossing, and let's not forget that boosting your car with nitrous oxide is apparently the same as going into hyperspace.
What's that flashing? We're losing our deflector shield. Don't strap yourselves in. I'm gonna make a jump to light speed.
But yes, compared to what comes after, the early movies feel tame. After all, in the first one, Dom and his crew almost get taken out by one trucker with a shotgun. 7 movies later, Dom single-handedly takes out a nuclear submarine. But why the focus on DVD players? Why not just say Dom used to hijack trucks? That's still low-key compared to dragging a giant bank vault across Rio, or, and this bears repeating, going into outer space. Unlike bank robberies, which are a universal and ubiquitous movie crime, stealing DVD players is painfully specific. You can rob banks anytime, but there's only one time when DVD players were a hot commodity.
Watch a movie right on your computer. DVD.
Yeah. The first 3 movies of the franchise evoke the late 90s and early to mid 2000s in a very particular way. And it's not just the music, the cars, and the clothes, although that's certainly part of it. There's just a vibe to them that captures the imagination, like you're peeking behind the curtain of a thriving subculture. These aren't just movies about the early 2000s, they were made in the early 2000s, and you can tell. It's one of their defining characteristics, and one of the big reasons why, despite some of their flaws, all 3 are worth checking out. I'm not gonna pretend like I know anything about the import scene or Japanese drift racing. And so much of this is almost certainly pure Hollywood fiction, but it sure feels like it's at least based on something real. One of the reasons I was looking for that National Geographic documentary is because I was genuinely curious how much the Fast and the Furious got right. There's a reason there are 3 Need for Speed games that are directly inspired by these movies.
Crews fighting for territory in the city. And it all gets settled in the canyon. But you'd never survive it.
I've seen this one. This is a classic.
Tangent over, which I'm pretty sure is the same thing Universal said after Tokyo Drift, because the next movie brings back the original cast for what is basically a soft reboot, hence the very boring and confusing title of Fast and Furious. Brian and Dom are back on opposite sides of the law, and the movie even opens with a truck hijacking, just like old times.
Okay, guys, we're gonna have to hit this hard and fast. We got 4K left before the downgrade.
But wait, how will you know how Dom assembled his crew for that opening heist unless you watch Los Bandoleros, the short film written and directed by Vin Diesel himself? You know, the thing that holds together the entire Fast and Furious timeline?
Todo bien. Mi gente. ¿Qué es lo que?
Los Bandoleros is 20 minutes of nothing.
Ustedes ni saben lo que es un bandolero. Bandolero, para que sepan. No nace, se hace.
Riveting.
It's a true gift to the dedicated people that fill out all the lore and continuity details in fan wikis. And a snooze fest for everyone else who inexplicably watches these movies mostly for the car chases and explosions.
That's why I'm here.
Despite what this article says, this is all entirely skippable. I mean, come on. Using a hyperbolic title to get people to click? It's a little embarrassing. Like and subscribe, by the way. 2009's Fast and Furious is an awkward, in-between movie. In a lot of ways, it's definitely the start of a new era for the franchise. From here on out, every movie is a direct continuation of the story with the same cast. And if you want to pinpoint the exact moment the series decided that physics was optional, I'd go with the bouncy exploding tanker from the opening heist.
Well, that was new.
But the movie is missing something. Action-wise, the opening is fun, and there's a decent street race, but the climax is by far the weakest of the series. I don't know who thought an extended car chase through a dark, narrow underground tunnel was a good idea, but they were wrong. This one lacks the charm and sense of identity of its predecessors. And at the same time, there's barely any of the outlaw family soap opera that will come to define its successors.
Tom, what are you doing? You reach first. You have to say grace.
Humorless is also a word that comes to mind. I can think of exactly one joke that lands.
You know I would've won that race if you didn't cheat, right?
You hit your head hard.
It is a good joke. So good, they repeated in Furious 7.
Dominic Toretto, right? My dad said he kicked your ass once.
Your dad's on heavy pain meds. I can understand if his history is a little hazy.
Yeah, sometimes it's easy to tell that most of these had the same writer.
This beast's got 500 horsepower and a Borley exhaust system. It does 0 to 60 in like 4.3 seconds.
Wow. You can read the brochure.
Hey, the car's a hell of a car. You're talking about twin turbo V8 spitting out 560 ponies, son.
He reads the brochure. I'm proud.
I guess the bit where Dom describes his perfect woman is also kind of funny.
Well, it starts with the eyes.
Sure.
She's got to have those kind of eyes that can look right through the bullshit.
Right.
To the good in someone.
So far, so good.
20% angel, 80% devil.
Also, hi pre-Wonder Woman Gal Gadot. For what it's worth, pretending that this is hot is one of your finest acting moments.
No.
There are important things that happen in the fourth movie that are worth recapping, but there aren't enough good reasons to actually watch it. There's the return and death of Letty, Dom's girlfriend, played by Michelle Rodriguez. She dies while working undercover for Brian in the FBI, and her death is how Dom and Brian cross paths again.
Letty came to me to clear your name in exchange for bringing down Braga. She just wanted you to come home!
Brian and Mia also rekindle their relationship, and at the end, Brian once again gives up the law to help Dom, cementing their friendship.
Ha! Gay!
I will give the movie this. The Brian and Dom stuff works way better. There's tension, history, shared goals.
I'm going with you.
I don't plan on bringing anyone back.
I know.
When the law comes up short, Brian gets pissed, and you understand his frustration.
Brass will be so busy holding press conferences over the seizure. We'll skate under the radar.
I thought we signed on to do the right thing.
This time, when he risks everything to help Dom escape, I totally get it.
You asked me why I let Dom go. I think it's because at that moment, I respected him more than I did myself.
Also, notably, Han returns, even though he, died in Tokyo Drift. Yes, that's right, folks, it's time for the entire Fast and Furious timeline. Explained! Alright, fine, so Dom has a cameo at the end of Tokyo Drift. Apparently, he knew Han.
Dude over here wanna race the new DK. Heard he's been beating everybody around Asia, too. Said Han was family.
Han is also a cool, beloved character, so he shows up for the opening heist in the fourth movie. That explains how Dom knew Han, and Han says he's going to Tokyo next, where he'll die in a horrible car crash. Wrapping up all the loose ends.
That's it. Cut the check. We're done.
Little bitty book, sign check, rip it out.
Except Han is still a cool, beloved character, so he comes back again for the 5th movie. And the 6th.
Nice.
There are 3 different Fast and Furious movies where Han has a scene where he talks about going to Tokyo.
Han, we had a good run. Time for you to go do your own thing.
Heard they're doing some crazy shit in Tokyo.
Never been to Madrid.
I thought you wanted to go to Tokyo.
We'll get there. Eventually.
How about we stay in one place?
Where are you thinking?
Tokyo. We always talk about Tokyo.
Tokyo.
Really gonna do it? Tokyo.
Yeah, it's just something I gotta do.
You know we got your back. Whenever you need us.
Hey, Mia, you better hide your baby oil. I'm just playing.
You better hide that big-ass forehead.
Except he can't go to Tokyo yet because if he does, he'll die.
I was just joking. Whatever.
Look, it's a little weird, but it makes sense. You want to keep a fan favorite character around, but they were dramatically killed off in a fiery car crash. You can't just say they somehow survived that. We are 4 movies into this franchise, and each entry so far has mostly done its own thing. Street racing and crime are a common theme. A few of them are about going undercover, and some even share the same characters. But in many ways, they're all very different movies. All of that changes with Fast 5, the movie that helped turn the franchise into a global sensation by honing in on 2 very important things: formula and family. This is one of the most important and influential movies in the entire series, as well as one of the best. First, it establishes the main formula going forward. From here on out, you can expect an ensemble cast, a high-stakes international mission, and high-octane, increasingly insane action from every movie. Second, it brings together characters from every prior Fast and Furious movie, setting up the ongoing family soap opera that has become synonymous with the series.
Salute me, familia. Salute. Salute. First, we're gonna need a chameleon. Someone who can blend in anywhere.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't think there's a single time where Han has to chameleon his way around anything. It's just fun to have Han around.
A fast talker. Someone who can bullshit their way out of anything.
He says Caucasian.
That's a tan.
This guy's gonna have a lot of surveillance. We're gonna need someone who's good with circuits.
Oh yeah, it's time for Tesh to get a crash course in Hollywood hacking.
A Class 3 electronic lock with a surefire Griffin retumbler and a biometric palm scanner. 10 tons of top-of-the-line security.
Do I want to know how you know all that?
I'm getting hacked.
Gigabyte of RAM should do the trick.
Holy shit.
Giselle's also here. That's Gal Gadot's character. What does she do?
Utilities and weapons.
Huh. What kind of utility? Oh, okay. Yeah. Leo and Santos, who were with Dom at the start of the last movie, round out the team. They're not gonna stick around though, because apparently in real life, the guys wanted to focus on their music careers. Even Vince from the first movie is back, to once again get shot at the end of the second act.
Hey, Dom.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
The plot picks up where the last movie ended. After Brian and Mia help Dom escape, by killing him and every single person on the prison bus.
A shocking escape that amazingly resulted in no fatalities this afternoon. No fatalities this afternoon.
Anyway, running away from the law takes Dom, Brian, and Mia to Rio. Brian and Mia agree to do a train heist, and Dom joins them while it's in progress. I'm pretty sure the only reason they weren't together from the start was that so Dom can do this dramatic entrance.
So cool.
The heist goes poorly. And now the 3 of them are on top of the most wanted list and have also pissed off a local crime lord. Dom suggests splitting up so that they have a better chance to get away. But then Mia drops the big reveal.
Look how lucky we just got. What happens next time? We have no choice but to split up.
I'm pregnant.
Are you kidding me?
No. Dom, Promise me we stick together.
Promise. Family just got bigger.
This is actually the first time in the entire series that Dom says the word family. But it won't be the last.
There's always room for family. You don't turn your back on family. Brother never told you never threaten a man's family? Almost killed my family. But what's real is family. I don't have friends. I got family.
This also marks a shift in how Dom thinks and acts, which is a good bit of character development. He can't just live his life a quarter mile at a time anymore, running away from everything.
Look at our family now. I can't go home. Your sister's stuck in this life. Where's Letty, Dom?
From now on, this family sticks together. As much as talking about family has turned into a meme for these movies, there is something endearing about it, especially early on. The cookouts, where someone always has to say grace, the cheesy toasts, dramatic speeches, all very silly, but also kind of sweet. There's a pretty good scene in Fast 5 where Brian and Dom talk about fathers and fatherhood.
Hey, Dom, what do you remember about your father?
My father.
Dom reveres his father, who was clearly an important role model.
I remember everything about my father. Everything.
But Brian is scared that he'll end up more like his dad.
I don't remember shit about my dad. I don't remember him yelling. I don't remember him smiling. He's just never there.
You ain't gonna be like that, Brian.
It would have been slightly more effective if Paul Walker didn't mumble his lines with a blank stare, but it's still a nice character moment. I don't mean to rag on Paul Walker. He's usually fine, but his performance in Fast 5 is uneven.
Couldn't get out of that without leading him straight to you. Had to wait him out.
That is such horseshit. That was your job!
Hey! Enough, O'Connor! If he said he didn't do it, he didn't do it. Go walk it off.
Really grates my cheese. Grrr.
Fast 5 is first and foremost a heist movie, with the team trying to steal $100 million from a bank vault inside a police station. But the money stands for something more. The movie does a good job of making the team seem cornered and desperate, hiding in rundown buildings while cops and criminals breathe down their necks.
Yeah, well, the Ritz was sold out.
Just, ignore the part where they somehow get a duplicate of the exact same giant bank vault.
Well, that's neat.
The money means freedom.
Tokyo. Moscow. Goa.
Want to know what all of these places have in common?
Huh.
No extradition.
You're not just rooting for them to do a cool, fun heist. You're rooting for them to be happy. The franchise was due a major shakeup, and the direction they decided to go in is inspired and effective. The heist/mission plots give this and later movies a solid structure. Another way to shake something up is to throw a big rock at it.
If you smell what the rock is cooking.
Ultra premium, very expensive tequila.
Meet Luke Hobbs, a super cop played by Dwayne No Other Alias Johnson, whose Hollywood career got a massive boost from Fast 5's success, and vice versa. These days, The Rock is moving away from blockbusters and towards more serious roles. And good for him. Show off those acting chops in an A24 sports biopic. Who cares if it doesn't make any money? It's about the prestige. Those awards are as good as his already. Hobbs is a bad guy for most of Fast 5, which you can tell right away by how pointy his beard is.
Now they're killing federal agents? Doesn't make any sense.
Here's what makes sense.
She could tell right away that I was bad to the bone.
He's a relentless fugitive tracker, and The Rock goes all in. Huge, imposing, sweating like he's being interviewed by Sean Evans. In a sauna. On Arrakis.
Be honest, babe. It's porn, right?
Porn? Pornography?
Dom and Hobbs have a showdown for the ages. There's a brilliant tease for it early on. Just look at Dom's face here.
What the fuck is that?
This leads to one of the series' best fight scenes.
You're going down, Toretto.
I'm right here.
I want to see two big men with big chests and big muscles. Big meaty men slapping meat.
Fast 5 is a great action movie, and its most iconic sequence is stealing the bank vault by dragging it through the city and using it like a wrecking ball. If you're interested in watching the franchise in earnest, Fast 5 is a great place to hop on. It's very accessible to new fans and a damn good time. That being said, I do have a few nits to pick. You might have picked up on the fact that the Fast and Furious franchise is ever so slightly sexist.
It's a oasis in here, bruh.
If there's a street racing scene in a Fast and Furious movie, it will have a lot of hot, half-naked women around. Hot women also tend to start the races, even when a computer does it.
3, 2, 1, go.
But why?
There is only one certainty in Fast and Furious movies. No matter how many other laws of physics they ignore, they will never deny the strong gravitational pull that women's asses have on film cameras. Look, I'm not gonna criticize the series for being a fast cars and hot chicks power fantasy for horny young men. After all,
That's why I'm here.
However, I will criticize it for doing the exact same fast cars hot chick scene over and over again. It doesn't matter if it's Rio, London, or Havana. The music might be different, but it's still the same song and dance.
Oh my god, Becky, look at her butt. It is so big.
These scenes have only gotten more generic with time, to the point where they start to feel like ad breaks in the middle of the movie. Come to think of it, some of the early movies had women making out in the background, but that stops being a thing at some point. I wonder what changed.
We're going to the Middle East.
Yeah, that'll do it. On commentary, director Justin Lin mentions that he hates doing these scenes, and it probably wasn't that fun for all the half-naked freezing extras. It's honestly fine that the series has moved away from street racing. They don't need to keep doing this, especially when it just feels like an item on a Fast and Furious checklist. It's boring. Fast 5 might be the most egregious offender because they do the hot chicks fast car street race scene.
Chewie, we're home.
But they skip the street race part.
Car for car.
Car for car.
You want it, come and get it.
They just don't show the race.
Really?
That's crazy. Especially since later, there's a scene where the guys steal some cop cars and race each other, betting the millions of dollars they don't have yet.
I got 100,000 says I can take you all in the next quarter mile.
Let's make it $1 million.
And there's a whole thing about Dom letting Brian win as a family gift for the baby.
I told you didn't see it.
The man right there, he let off the throttle at the line. He didn't do nothing. He let you in.
And I'm just wondering, why didn't they combine this with the street race? Why did you set up a street race, asses and everything, skip it, and then later have a separate race? What is wrong with you?
Why would you do that?
Brian trying to beat Dom in a race has been a thing since the first movie.
What are you smiling about?
Dude, I almost had you.
You almost had me?
You know, I would've won that race if you didn't cheat, right?
You hit your head hard.
Fast 5 ends with him so bothered by the idea of Dom letting him win the last one.
Baby gift, huh?
I have no idea what they're talking about.
Uh-huh.
That he challenges Dom to one final race, just the two of them.
No wagers, nobody else, just you and me once and for all.
All right, O'Connor. Let's see what you got.
Even though you see the race in the credits, it's not clear who actually won. It's very Rocky 3.
Now you just gotta prove it to yourself,
Just
right?
myself. No TV, no newspapers, just you and me.
Nothing, just you and me.
And in that series, we don't find out who won the private fight between Rocky and Apollo until Creed.
Who won the third fight?
You did.
I wouldn't mind at all if they do this exact same scene in the next Fast and Furious movie, with Dom admitting Brian actually beat him all those years ago. Not sure if Vin Diesel's ego will allow it, and it is a little hard to believe. Not because nobody should ever beat Dom, but because if Brian did win,
he wouldn't shut up about it.
You know how long I've been waiting for that shit?
So the team gets away with the money, Dom gets over Letty by hooking up with Elena, the most honest and most hottest cop in Rio, and Han hooks up with Giselle, which is a little surprising. I mean, Roman did go after her with his A-game.
Sexy legs, baby girl. What time do they open?
The team earns Luke Hobbs' respect, and they help him find his smile. I can't think of a single reason he wouldn't be in a laughing mood right now. So Hobbs is officially a good guy now. You can tell by how unpointy his beard is, and the way he brutalizes a suspect at the start of the next movie.
Is that legal?
No. But are you gonna go in there and tell him?
Huh. Pointing out that police brutality is wrong.
I've got rights, you asshole! Not today.
But will continue to happen as long as it goes unchallenged. Perhaps suggesting that it is our responsibility to actively stand up for others and what's right. I didn't expect this level of social and political commentary from a Fast and Furious movie.
Oh, it's so dumb, it's brilliant. No! It's just dumb!
Hobbs is chasing a crew of professional mercenaries, and he wants to recruit Dom and his team for the job. But now that they have the money and the freedom they were after, why would they agree to do this?
I mean, we got everything. You know, down to the beer and the barbecue. Wait, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like home. Maybe it's because you don't realize how much you appreciate something until somebody takes it away.
Boo-hoo? You want me to feel bad for the poor millionaires living their best lives because they can't go back to Los Angeles?
Miss Brandt?
Yes.
Get me a violin. See, he's gonna come voluntarily. As a matter of fact, he's gonna beg me. This was taken a week ago.
You look happy?
I don't remember him.
Okay, Lady is back from the dead with amnesia and working for the bad guys. I mean, what's next? A long-lost, never-before-mentioned evil brother?
Get us to Letty. We'll get you Shaw. Full pardons all the way around.
That's outrageous. Done.
Fast and Furious 6 is fun, but it sure likes to waste your time.
Ironic.
There's an entire pointless subplot about Brian sneaking back into the US to visit the bad guy from the fourth movie and find out what happened to Letty. And it turns out she survived, lost her memory, and the bad guys took advantage of that. All of which we already knew.
This is on me. I'm the one that served her up to Braga. I found out what happened to Letty. It's all my fault. Everything that's happened to you is because of me.
Stop. I may not remember anything. But I know one thing about myself. Nobody makes me do anything I don't want to.
What was the point of any of this? But Stan, Brian is also looking for information on Shaw. What about this amazing insight?
The only way you get close to Shaw is if he wants you there.
This is something Brian and everyone else could have figured out just from their first encounter with Shaw in London. This entire subplot could have been avoided with one line.
Braga was running Letty, now he's working with Shaw to explain how the two of them met.
That's it. Cut the check. We're done.
Then there's this bit, after the big plane chase on the longest runway in the world, where we're left on the edge of our seats, wondering if Dom survived. This goes on for almost a full minute. There is not one single person who even remotely believes that Dominic Toretto is dead. Not only is there no tension, but any sense of dramatic triumph you might get from him walking away from the burning wreckage is completely negated by how long it takes to actually show him do it. It's still going. I have not edited this at all. Why are they repeating reaction shots? Oh, look, he's alive. Dom trying to remind Letty of who she was is neat, and I do like that she switches sides without just magically getting all her memories back.
We'll see about that.
This is the first time the team gets into some proper super spy shenanigans, and it is cool that they struggle with it initially. In their first encounter with Owen Shaw's crew, they are completely outmatched.
That could have been my forehead, man.
Nah, that's not as big as your forehead.
Shaw's crew have potential as villains. They're clearly meant to be the evil versions of our guys, and unlike Dom, who treats his team like family, Shaw views his people as expendable parts.
Good news is, swap out a bad part, everything runs smooth as silk again.
Unfortunately, the movie doesn't do much with either of these ideas. Shaw's cold pragmatism plays a part in Letty's face turn.
If Ivory's dead, he made a mistake. You make a mistake, you pay the price.
It's a great eulogy, Shaw. You gonna give the same speech to the rest of us when we go out?
But it would have been cool to see his whole crew start to fall apart because they don't have the kind of bond and loyalty that Dom's team has. There's a great scene in The Mummy Returns.
Spoilers.
Where Imhotep realizes Anck-su-namun doesn't love him the same way Evelyn loves Rick.
Wow, what a cuck.
Fast and Furious 6 could have done something similar with Dom and Owen.
A team is nothing but pieces you switch out until you get the job done. It's efficient.
In a key moment, Letty and the rest have Dom's back while Shaw's crew abandons him.
What a cuck.
In that moment, Shaw learns the true power of family. As for the evil doppelgangers thing, it goes nowhere.
I'm sitting there looking at these images. It's like we're hunting our evil twins.
Cut the check, we're done.
The action is good. Shaw shows up in a tank at one point, starting a new tradition for the franchise. Vehicle boss battles.
They got a tank. I'm sorry, did somebody just say a tank? Now we got a big-ass plane to deal with.
That ain't a plane, that's a planet.
Nothing quite as fun as the bank vault stuff from Fast 5, although I will give 6 credit for one of the best tag team moves I've ever seen. Also, I have to talk about this because it really bugs me. There's a bit where Hobbs and Tej go to buy cars from a fancy auction, and there's a mean, snobby little British guy.
I don't mean any offense, gentlemen, but you couldn't possibly afford the cars in this auction. Substantial lack of gaudy jewelry, no entourage, no honeys. Clearly, you're not a baller. And you. Shoes, shirt, trousers. Functional.
Tej is like, I'm gonna teach this guy a lesson. So he buys all the cars from the auction, but then he and Hobbs mildly humiliate the British guy by making him give up his watch and most of his clothes.
Good day, gentlemen. Thank you.
This is clearly set up as a comedy scene, but all I kept thinking about is that even if the snobby guy doesn't get commission on purchases, he probably still benefits from completely selling out the auction. He had one slightly embarrassing afternoon, but the only lesson he learned is that he can provoke potential clients into massive purchases by being a dick. Although who knows, maybe this is social commentary on how bored millionaires are willing to spend obscene amounts of money in exchange for tiny, ultimately meaningless ego boosts.
No! It's just dumb!
So, Letty's back.
That's gotta be awkward.
Dom and the team get their pardons, and after Giselle's heroic sacrifice, Han decides it's finally time to go to Tokyo.
It's just something I gotta do.
Gotta admit, it's a little harsh to kill off his girlfriend right before he...
Dominic Toretto. You don't know me. You're about to.
Jason Statham plays Deckard Shaw, Owen's big bad brother, and in Furious 7, he's out for revenge.
You don't know me. You're about to.
Get down!
We've officially caught up to Tokyo Drift in the timeline, which means we can finally find out who won the race between Dom and Sean. I'll give you 10 guesses it's Dom. Dom won.
Han said you was fast, but not that damn fast.
I can believe that Dom decided to distract himself from Han's death with a quick race. But this line from Tokyo Drift
Heard he's been beating everybody around Asia, too.
means that on his way to pick up Han's body for the funeral, Dom took the time to top the Asian street racing leaderboards.
Tell Brian I'll see him in LA in 2 days.
Where are you going?
Tokyo. I'm bringing Han home. I got nothing but time.
Furious 7 is the best movie in the franchise and one of the best action movies ever made. It's a movie that starts with a fight between Jason Statham and The Rock.
You just earned yourself a dance with the devil, boy. You're under arrest.
I've swallowed enough microchips and shit them back out again to make a computer.
That's the kind of dream matchup that men of all ages will spend a ridiculous amount of time daydreaming and arguing about. 100 Men versus 1 Gorilla was just a small taste of how insane the conversation will be if you take 2 guys, any 2 guys, and ask them who would win in a fight between X and Y.
Muhammad Ali hits you, you're going down. That's a fact.
If he hits you, Bruce Lee, he knows the anatomy. He's got the moves. He's going to find an opening.
Does Bruce Lee have a gun? Because if he doesn't, it's Ali in 3 minutes or less.
Furious 7 starts with that, and it is amazing. It ends on a fight between Deckard and Dom that is somehow even more absurd. There is an article in the Wall Street Journal that goes into detail about how Statham, Diesel, and Johnson all made sure that anytime they fight each other on screen, no one ever looks like the definitive loser. Vin Diesel went as far as trying to come up with a point score system for moves so that they could mathematically make sure that everyone is equally formidable. But the thing about math is that it sucks, so nobody wanted to do it. That may sound like a bunch of ridiculous alpha male vanity nonsense, because it is. Losing is fine, and a character dealing with that is not only easy to root for, but has a real opportunity to grow.
All I know is it wasn't me that was thrown out of a 4-story window.
Jumped. I jumped out of a 4-story window, saving my partner's life.
Well, that's funny because
I've jumped from a high-rise building using only a raincoat as a parachute and broke both legs upon landing. And I still had to pretend I was in a fucking Cirque du Soleil show.
Hypothetically speaking, if I lost, I don't know how to even respond to that because I've never lost.
On the women's side, Michelle Rodriguez gets a taste of the action too. She squared off with Gina Carano in the last one, and this time she gets to fight Ronda Rousey.
Thank God you showed up. These parties bore me to death.
Can you try it again with a little bit more energy?
Would you believe I knocked him out with my charm?
You need that charming bitch.
you nailed it. We're good.
Paul Walker fighting Tony Jaa is where I draw the line though.
Still fight like shit. You still fight like shit.
I haven't seen a matchup this lopsided since... I can't wait to see who's gonna fight me, Shovel Knight, in this PlayStation exclusive content. It's probably another fun, cartoony mascot. Oh, maybe it's Sly Raccoon.
A few moments later.
Home team advantage. That's all I'm gonna say.
Too slow!
None of this makes any of the fights in Furious 7 less enjoyable. The whole thing is just the exact right amount of dumb and over the top.
Dad, what's going on?
Daddy's gotta go to work.
The stakes are high and deeply personal.
We're being hunted.
As the team races to find God's Eye, a program that can track anyone, anywhere in the world, Deckard always shows up at the worst possible time to ramp up the pressure.
Well, well, well. Welcome to the party, Mr. Shaw.
The mountain convoy chase is by far the series' best action sequence. Any one part of it could just as easily be the climax of a completely different movie. From airdropping cars, sprinting on the side of a falling bus, or driving a car off a sheer cliff.
You're pointing the wrong way!
Am I now?
It's exhilarating and brilliantly paced, not to mention it has one of my favorite visual gags ever. It's so good, I can even forgive them for... Furious 7 fully embraces the super spy angle with the introduction of Kurt Russell's shadowy Mr. Nobody.
Shaw lives in a world that doesn't play by your rules. Like it or not, you live in that world now too.
I'd call him White Nick Fury, but that's David Hasselhoff's gig. There's also Ramsey, another brilliant hacker and the inventor of God's Eye.
Ramsey?
Roman and Tej both keenly observe that she is, in fact, hot.
Now that is a woman that's worth falling out of plane for.
Get out of there, man. I got dibs on that. You see me looking at that.
Did you just say dibs?
One movie later.
Let me ask you one question.
You can ask me anything.
Anything.
What's my last name?
Meanwhile, Letty is struggling to adjust, since remember, she didn't just magically get all her memories back.
We'll see.
There's actually a really good scene where she visits her own grave. Dom arrives with a sledgehammer to smash it, but she stops him, saying it's not gonna help.
You never died.
Do you know how hard it is for me when you look at me and you see me through 15 years of memories?
I really like this shot of Dom by himself in the graveyard, with the hammer and the tank top and the muscles. It's a great contrast between the appearance of strength and how helpless he actually is in this moment. The specific details of the situation are insane, but if you boil it down to his partner is upset and he tried to help with a big dumb romantic gesture that didn't work, that's hashtag relatable.
How do you do, fellow kids?
In a way, it reminds me of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Spoilers.
Where Star-Lord has to deal with the fact that the Gamora that came back is a different person.
So you really don't remember anything
Like what?
about your time with us?
Just because death isn't necessarily permanent in these kinds of stories, doesn't mean there aren't consequences. Insane time travel shenanigans aside, it plays out like a bad breakup where one side can't move on, which is something that both the audience and the actors can connect with. In the end, there isn't a magical solution where things just reset and go back to exactly the way they were before.
I remember everything. It came to me like a flood. I remember.
I really don't like how this turned out. Hand-waving Letty's struggles away, especially in a story that's specifically about consequences, sucks. And it's a bad omen for the storytelling of this franchise going forward. When the bad guys end up with God's Eye, because obviously the best and most secure way to handle something so powerful and dangerous is a single, portable device.
Terry, would you do the honors?
Why?
Dom realizes there's only one way to beat them.
We're gonna face them on the streets we know best.
That's right, let's bring a fight with heavily armored mercenaries to a densely populated major city. You know, I can't quite figure out where Dom and the team stand on civilian casualties and collateral damage. In 6, when Owen Shaw starts rampaging with the tank, Dom gets real concerned.
Take their attention away from the people!
But in 5, Mia and Brian do this to save him. Maybe this is social commentary on how society doesn't think of convicted felons as people.
No!
Look, a lot of this falls comfortably within switching off your brain territory. It's the kind of silly you don't really question. You just kind of laugh and go with it.
Thing about street fights? The street always wins.
What does that even mean?
There is another reason why Furious 7 is the best in the series, but unfortunately, it is a tragic one.
You aren't going to say goodbye?
It's never goodbye.
Paul Walker died in the middle of production in a terrible car accident. The movie was dedicated to his memory and reworked so that the character of Brian can be respectfully written off.
That's where he belongs.
Home. Where he's always belonged.
The conclusion to Brian's story is a happy and definitive one. He goes from missing the danger and the thrills to riding off into the sunset to be with his family. It's touching, heartfelt, and almost seamless. They do a pretty good job of integrating and covering up a CG Paul Walker face or reused footage, but our eyes are typically very sensitive to faces, so sometimes it's a little noticeable. That doesn't make the ending any less meaningful or emotional. I genuinely get a little misty-eyed when See You Again starts.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again.
This is your car.
My car?
This ending is so good that you could argue that it should have been where the entire franchise ended. But that's not what happened. The Fate of the Furious. Another great name. I love a good pun. And they didn't do the thing where they put a number in the middle of the word, which I absolutely hate. So 7?
Fuck you.
Flashback.
One of the greatest titles for a sequel in the history of cinema.
End of flashback.
Remember that bit about Dom single-handedly taking out a nuclear submarine?
Flashback.
Again?
After all, in the first one, Dom and his crew almost get taken out by one trucker with a shotgun. 7 movies later, Dom single-handedly takes out a nuclear submarine. Also, please like and subscribe. And be sure to check out Tomato Anus, whose joke I'm currently stealing.
End of flashback.
Yep, we're finally there.
Oh, it took longer than I expected.
The movie does open with a more grounded street race in Cuba. And by grounded, I mean that Dom beats the fastest car in Cuba with the slowest car in Cuba by driving it backwards while it's on fire. Just a regular day in Toretto Land, until the mysterious cyber-terrorist Cypher, played by Charlize Theron, shows up and makes Dom betray his family.
A hell of a job, brother. When we get back to the base, beer's on me. That sumbitch just crossed us.
What?
Wait a second, what are you talking about? Dominic Toretto just went rogue.
Why?
How could Dom do something like that? What could possibly make him turn his back on family?
You don't turn your back on family.
There are only 2 logical explanations. 1, Robin's been replaced by an evil robot double. 2, he's another innocent victim of zombie mind control.
I think I need to remind you why you chose to be here.
You shouldn't have come.
Nothing could have kept me away.
Now she has the 3 of us. Do you want to see him?
When they reveal Cypher is holding Elena and Dom's baby that he didn't even know existed, I was genuinely blown away. In a series where a character came back from the dead with amnesia, I was ready for any number of dumb reasons why Dom turned heel.
3 words. Disgruntled radioactive clone.
I didn't even consider the simplest explanation.
Family.
This reminds me of a really good 2-part episode of Teen Titans.
Spoilers.
The bad guy, Slade, injects the Titans with
nanomachines, son.
And threatens to kill them unless Robin, the team's leader, becomes his apprentice.
Who knows? I might even become like a father to you.
I already have a father.
Robin agrees for the sake of his friends, but as Slade's apprentice, he also has to fight them, and they have no idea why.
Look, I don't know what's going on, but we don't want to fight. We just want to talk.
The team struggle to beat Robin, not because he's stronger, faster, or smarter than them, but because they're conflicted. They hesitate, they pull their punches. They don't want to hurt their friend.
Come on, man, don't make me do this. I don't want to do this.
Dude, are you okay?
So anyway, in The Fate of the Furious, Dom beats his entire family easily, despite their best efforts, because he's just better than all of them combined.
So y'all want us to track Dom?
Yeah, I know, Roman. It's kind of a big job.
It's impossible.
I'm bringing in an extra pair of hands.
It's impossible.
Which is why I'm bringing in an extra pair of hands.
Wait a minute!
Deckard Shaw is a good guy now, because Jason Statham is popular. Fans of the series, especially people who liked Han, which is pretty much everyone, were fine with this. They didn't mind at all. In fact, they had a pretty good sense of humor about it. They started a Just Ice for Han campaign to help Han cool down from the fiery explosion that Deckard brutally killed him with. Deckard playing nice and getting a sympathetic backstory is kinda dumb, but it's not like he's welcomed into the family.
Let's get one thing clear. I ain't on your team. I don't care about you, your crew, or your little family.
He mostly gets paired with Hobbs, and the bad blood between those two is not only a lot less personal, but a lot more marketable.
So like it or not, you two are gonna work together. I'm gonna take that as a yes.
Would I have preferred if Dom and the others were even more reluctant and hostile towards Deckard? Yes. Would I have liked it more if Dom thanked Deckard for saving the baby, but also said he would never forgive him for all the pain he's caused? Yeah, but Jason Statham is cool. The baby rescue is one of the funniest action scenes in the franchise.
Where's that smile? There it is. You're gonna shoot a baby? You sick bastard.
And the entirely pointless but wildly entertaining prison break sequence is also a highlight. So I'm not really that upset by the face turn. If it made you mad though, I get it.
When you find the guy that killed Han, what are you gonna do?
Words ain't even been invented yet.
Can't believe you want to see my mother.
Yes, we do meet Deckard's mom, played by Helen Mirren.
I'll give you until I finish my cuppa. And I'm fucking thirsty.
We also meet Little Nobody, who is basically Mr. Nobody's snot-nosed son.
What boy band bus did she fall out of?
It's my new junior associate.
He isn't actually related to him, but he might as well be. Because family. To balance out all the new additions to the cast, Cypher kills Elena.
No!
This is one death I think they're actually going to stick to.
We'll see.
This is your doing.
My doing?
Seeing Dom this angry, desperate, and vulnerable is welcome.
I want you to learn.
Learn what?
As much as I enjoy the tank top, slight head tilt, corner smile, something something family version of Dom, which Vin Diesel can do in his sleep at this point, these rare moments where something really strikes a nerve are always memorable. One of my favorite lines in the series is a moment just like that, all the way back in the first movie.
Yeah, my dad built her. 900 horses of Detroit muscle. It's a beast.
So what's your best time?
I've never driven her.
Why not?
Scares the shit out of me.
I wonder if he was also scared of the nuclear submarine. This is the most ridiculous boss battle up to this point, and the last one that's actually fun.
All right. Come and get him.
The Fate of the Furious is too much, but it's the good kind of too much. It's still enjoyably stupid, and finds creative ways to go more over the top than ever before. There is a voice in the back of my head going, they really need to stop right now, but it's still a pretty enjoyable entry.
Preston back! What? Turn the goddamn wheel to the left really quickly!
Next up, Fast and Furious presents Hobbs Shaw. That is the official title.
But why?
I hate this kind of naming convention for spin-offs. A Star Wars story, a Mad Max saga. Don't even get me started on slapping a Knives Out mystery on every Benoit Blanc movie. That one actually hurts. Anyway, Hobbs & Shaw. This one is a straight-up superhero movie. The villain, Brixton, played by Idris Elba, is a cyborg who wants to steal a super virus that can wipe out all of humanity.
Look at me. I'm Black Superman.
I'm not sure why they even felt the need to include cybernetic implants as the explanation for the things Brixton can do, considering that Hobbs, who is not a cyborg, regularly does things that are straight out of Captain America's playbook. If you enjoyed the several minutes of childish insults and dick measuring between Jason Statham and The Rock in The Fate of the Furious, Hobbs & Shaw is just that, but this time for 2 hours.
No fucking way.
Yes, they are both charismatic and funny, but it does get a bit repetitive.
That's, some bitch in your native tongue.
That'd be wanker in your native tongue.
That's it. Cut the check. We're done.
Are you finished blubbering? You sound like a giant tattooed baby.
You know what? I'm not listening to this horse shit. I got a job to do.
That's it. Cut the check. We're done.
I'll have this job done while you're still putting on your baby oil. Good luck, Slick.
That's it.
Cut the check.
You just reminded me. That's exactly why I hate working with you. It's your voice. Every time you speak, just imagine this for a second. It's like dragging my balls across shattered glass. And it hurts.
That's it. Cut the check. We're done.
Well, for me, it's not your voice. It's your face. Your big, stupid face. Looking at it makes me feel like God is projectile vomit.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
I mean, come on, it takes them the entire runtime to come up with the brilliant strategy of maybe we should work together as a team.
Oh, you see that?
We work together, we can hurt him.
You're right. Doesn't work as a team.
Vanessa Kirby plays Deckard's sister, because family. And don't worry, we also go to Samoa and meet Hobbs' entire family too, because family.
Mama, where's all our guns?
I get rid of them.
Very noble, Mrs. Hobbs. We're in serious trouble.
This movie is fine. It's a little too long for the banter to sustain it.
And you're Michael Oxmall.
Mike Oxmall.
As an action movie, it has its highlights, mostly in the hand-to-hand fights. They're colorful, dynamic, and creative. Benefits of having one of the co-directors of John Wick at the helm. The big set-piece stuff, though, is a mixed bag. It dips into the hollow, weightless spectacle that plagues many modern blockbusters, especially now that there's outright science fiction elements that can only be pulled off with digital effects. Hobbs & Shaw is more openly tongue-in-cheek.
Anyway, it's the fate of the world here.
It's the fate of the world.
The planet's population is in their hands. Serious stuff. I mean, you think they'd be able to put aside any petty rivalries to save the world.
But it's not quite a full-blown cartoon. Hobbs has a serious subplot about reconciling with his estranged family, and while the resolution to that is a lot easier than you might think...
You got a bloody cheek. Coming here, after 25 years, bringing your problems here to this house. You betrayed our family. Bring shame on our house. You betrayed your own blood.
Later that night...
I love you so.
I still appreciate its inclusion. Also, Vanessa Kirby gets to kick some ass, which is a definite plus.
She's actually quite annoying.
You know, Dad, sometimes people annoy each other when they're actually, like, flirting.
She has a romantic subplot with Hobbs, but that doesn't really go anywhere.
The next thing you know, they're trying to impregnate your sister.
Oh, what?
Some light flirting, innuendo, a quick kiss. After all, kids might be watching, and we really need to protect their delicate sensibilities.
Hell of a good idea. Shit.
There is one other thing that bugs me about this movie, and that's some of the guest stars. Ryan Reynolds and Kevin Hart show up briefly, and it's kinda weird and a little cringe.
I don't need anybody else. I work alone.
We got bigger problems than your fragile ego, or the fact that a moment ago I most definitely shit my pants.
It's not the first time a big name has shown up in one of these, but Kurt Russell, Helen Mirren, Charlize Theron, they play characters that feel like they're a part of this world.
Acting.
In Hobbs & Shaw, the movie just stops for a bit to let Ryan Reynolds and Kevin Hart do their regular shtick, which is to be Ryan Reynolds and Kevin Hart.
What you throwing up on bench, big fella? 340 pounds?
Little less.
Yeah, light work. I'm doing the same thing. Slanging weight.
Is it funny? Maybe, but it's just so out of place.
All you need to know is that you got a third squaddy over here that is ready to go whenever you need me to. I'm just sitting in my lair.
You in a bathroom?
Potato, potato.
The ending sets up a sequel.
You don't remember me, do you, Hobbs? You will. It's gonna be a hell of a reunion.
But later they announced what sounds like a completely different follow-up, which has a more direct connection to the 10th and 11th movie in the series. And it's been a few years since that with no updates. That brings us to F9, the worst movie in the series. This franchise's disregard for the laws of physics has been off the charts for a while, but F9 finally manages to cross a line where the whole thing stops being enjoyable, even conceptually. Because every movie has to be bigger, louder, and more outrageous, eventually the stunts and set pieces become so absurd that A, they're impossible to do without the heavy use of CGI, and B, they become the wrong kind of unbelievable.
Shit!
Let's compare Dom and Ramsey driving off a cliff in Furious 7 with Dom and Letty doing whatever the hell this is in F9. Both scenarios are, to put it mildly, absurd, but one is a really cool moment, and the other one is... In Furious 7, I understand what Dom was trying to do. It was an insane idea, but also a simple one.
You can fly? No. Jump good.
And they at least try to explain how they modified the car to handle something like that.
Tej, I want the demon love child between that And that.
Looks like our demon love child worked.
In F9, the only way anyone would come up with Dom's plan on the spot is if they're operating on cartoon logic. In Furious 7, crashing down the mountain is visceral and crunchy. Even the reinforced demon child car gets crumpled up and torn apart. In F9, it's like a video game that only allows cosmetic damage.
Well, that was new.
F9 has very little sense of danger, and even less sense of sense. All the dials are turned up one notch too many. Things that the series used to be able to get away with and still be fun are now awkward and jarring. Dom catching Letty mid-air and breaking his fall with a car in the 6th movie is crazy. But it kind of works as a one-off, a showstopper for a big set piece. Meanwhile, in F9, cars are apparently just giant pillows. Maybe for you, that line was crossed a long time ago. For me, this is where it stopped being fun.
Miss Brandt?
Yes.
Get me a violin.
Okay, to be fair, some of the magnet stuff is pretty cool.
Letty.
Occasionally, it's almost the right kind of ridiculous. Then there's the story, where F9 manages to somehow drop the ball even harder.
Mayday! Our plane is under attack by a rogue agent. Looks like I'm gonna have to squint.
His name is John C.
Jacob is, or was, Dom's brother.
Brother? You got a brother?
Okay, long lost, never before mentioned evil brother. Very, very stupid, but there's potential. Dom, the man who would never turn his back on family,
You don't turn your back on family.
has to confront the brother he renounced, the man he blames for the death of their father.
The day we lost him, Dad kept talking about a misfire. Remember? You were the last one understood that day.
This is the kind of blockbuster family soap opera that this series is made for. So why doesn't any of it work at all? Jacob becomes a good guy by the end of the movie, which is fine. But instead of a proper redemption or reconciliation, F9 does a bunch of half measures. It turns out their father asked Jacob to mess with his car so that he can throw the race, because he was so deep in debt.
No. Wait.
This diminishes Jacob's responsibility for what happened. So instead of the two brothers finding a way to move on, the issue is conveniently excused away. It's established that Jacob is jealous of Dom.
So your whole life, you pushed yourself to be faster than Dom, smarter than Dom, stronger than Dom.
You know the only good thing to come from Dad dying? If he hadn't, I'd have spent my entire life in your shadow.
What if, by trying to impress his father and become the new favorite son, he made a genuine mistake? Dom would have every right to be upset, but can he really claim the moral high ground, considering he nearly beat a man to death right after?
Toretto did this with a 3/4-inch torque wrench. He's a model of self-control.
They've both made terrible mistakes, and by pushing Jacob away, Dom only made him more resentful. It's all right there, but instead they shift the blame to the dead dad. To be fair, Dom having to deal with the fact that the man he revered wasn't perfect is also an interesting idea. It could turn Dom's entire world upside down, make him question himself as a man and as a father, but they don't explore it at all. It's just here to make it easier to forgive Jacob.
You know, Dad wasn't perfect. But he loved us all the same.
This is also why the bad guys betray Jacob at the end. Makes it even easier for him to join the good guys and help his family.
Dom, I can't get to you.
But I can.
It's crazy that Hobbs and Shaw does this better.
My dad actually stole everything. Drugs, guns, and eventually he knew, and he was okay with getting me and my brothers killed. So after I put him away, I left Samoa and I never came back.
Later that night...
I'm sorry. They've had my reasons, but the fact is, I left you, and I left our Inga. I should have come home. And if we make it through this, you have my word I'll never let that happen again.
Hobbs takes accountability, apologizes, and is forgiven. It's not a very exciting way to resolve the conflict, but it is a resolution. Just like my editing, it's rudimentary, but it gets the job done. There was even a mini version of this when Dom forgave Vince in Fast 5. Vince withheld information that put Mia and Brian at risk, which made Dom angry.
Get out!
But then Vince saves Mia's life, and all is forgiven.
Vince saved my life.
You hungry? Yeah, sure. Good. Because you're saying grace.
Is it clunky? Yes. Is it only here to make Vince's death seem more dramatic? Absolutely. And it's still better than what they do in F9. Speaking of Mia, why didn't she do anything?
Jacob's my brother too. I need to be here.
That's great, Mia. How about you sit their dumb asses down and make them actually talk to each other? How about you remind Dom that he wasn't the only one who lost a father that day?
The worst thing you can do to a Toretto is take away their family. That's what you did to Jacob. You got people who love you, count on you, care for you. He ain't got no one.
Who the fuck is this guy? Who is he?
Mia should have been the one that says all of this stuff.
You want the truth?
Say something.
Dad died because he was trying to throw that race. We were in deep debt.
Say something.
He made me promise he would never find out. And through all of it, I kept that promise.
Say something!
Jacob.
I'm sorry, Mia.
That's it. Cut the check. We're done.
I'm happy she got to do a cool fight scene, but she's a Toretto, she's their sister. She should have been way more involved in this story. She's the one that should have reminded both of them that the right way to treat family is youtube.com/watch V equals D capital Q W4 W9 capital W G capital X C capital Q.
Would you like to know more?
Or even just do something basic like Jacob saves Mia's life. Because no matter how he feels about Dom, Mia's family, Jacob and Dom don't even have a proper face-to-face confrontation until an hour into the movie. And this isn't like the beach scene in Warrior, okay? That is a masterclass in tension, family trauma boiling over, two brothers on a collision course.
That's Tess. That's Emily and Rosie. They ain't nieces, Tommy.
I don't know him.
No, you don't know him. Of course you don't know him.
So why am I looking at pictures of people I don't know?
So that's my family.
And who are you exactly?
Gonna cry?
That is a scene that Warrior builds up properly and makes you wait before you finally get to it. Jacob and Dom meeting for the first time takes an hour because F9 has atrocious pacing. It's just overstuffed with characters and subplots. Who has time for the central character conflict when we have to make room for an extended Roman Pierce action sequence? A third wheel villain.
I want guns. I want wheels. Freaking X-Wing fighters. I don't care. Who the fuck is this guy?
An old lady heist because Helen Mirren wanted to go vroom vroom. And of course, the Cardi B cameos.
Dominic Toretto.
Those cameos, by the way, are directly before and after the Dom and Jacob scene.
See how I've been rocking shit? All this crew, this is mine. Huh?
You know the iconic Al Pacino and Robert De Niro diner scene in Heat? The one where the two leads, who are also some of the best actors of their generation, finally meet face to face?
I do what I do best. I take scores. You do what you do best, trying to stop guys like me.
So you never wanted a regular type life?
The fuck is that? Barbecues and ball games?
It's great, but I've always felt it was missing a good Madonna cameo.
Quay, because she got a great ass!
And don't worry, Madonna is definitely coming back for Heat 2. Yeah, right, like they're ever gonna do a Heat 2.
What the fuck?
There's a scene in Fast 5, before the heist, where the crew start talking about what they would do with all their money.
Actually, man, I've been thinking about opening up a garage back home. Place where people can bring their cars and not get completely ripped off, you know what I mean?
Really?
Yeah.
So your dream is to start a day job? That's stupid. Like, why would...
Nah, it's not stupid at all, man. I love what I do.
That don't make no sense to me.
I like this because it highlights the differences between Roman and Tej as characters. There's also a nice payoff at the end, where Roman shows up at Tej's new shop with a hypercar, only for Tej to reveal that he also bought the same hypercar, which shows that the two of them are actually not that different after all.
We can always shine together, baby.
Talking about what you do with imaginary millions is a conversation people could realistically have with their buddies, as opposed to, I don't know, trying to convince them you all have plot armor?
We've now been on insane missions around the world, doing what most would say is damn near impossible. And I ain't got one single scar to show for it?
Maybe we're not so normal.
That's what I'm saying. We are not normal.
Okay, just to clarify, are you two maybe suggesting that we're what? Invincible?
Maybe.
Seriously, why are the characters openly acknowledging the lack of actual danger in the action sequences? Who thought this was a good idea? I can't think of a worse way to undermine the narrative stakes of this franchise. Oh look, they found a worse way to undermine the narrative stakes of this franchise, because Han was alive all along.
Nice clubhouse.
Apparently the filmmakers decided that justice for Han means to bring him back from the dead. I would argue that Han dying in Tokyo Drift and then appearing in 3 more movies is justice enough. And if people's problem is that Deckard got off way too easy for killing Han,
Can't believe you want to see my mother.
the solution shouldn't be, well, maybe he just didn't kill him. At least one major character has died in a Fast and Furious movie from Tokyo Drift onwards, starting with Han. Then there was Letty, Vince, Giselle, Han again because of the Tokyo Drift overlap, and finally, Elena. Those deaths matter. They raise the stakes, make you hate the villains, balance out some of the absurdity by introducing real risk.
Where's Letty, Dom? Where's Letty?
Letty also came back, but until now she was the only one that did, and there was a cost. Han coming back makes it a pattern. How is anyone supposed to take a character dying in this franchise seriously now? Especially when they start talking about how they actually might be invincible in the same movie.
Maybe.
Plus, they waste our time with an overly long explanation of how Han survived and what he was doing and how it's all very conveniently related to F9's plot.
We became a family.
Miss Brandt?
Yes.
Get me a violin.
Again, it could have been one sentence. Why not? Han was in a coma, and Mr. Nobody kept it a secret.
That's it. Cut the check. We're done.
F9 is bad. Is there anything else? Oh yeah, there was that one part where they go to outer space. There comes a time in every long-running franchise where going to space comes up as an idea. Usually that's a sign of creative bankruptcy. I mean, after outer space, where else are you gonna go? Well, if you're Leprechaun, you go to the hood. Twice.
I come from the land of the Irish Spring. Dublin's the place where I learned my thing. From the Emerald Isle to your place in the hood, I'm the man of green, come to do no good. Left in the hood, come to do no good. Left in the hood, come to do no good. Fire.
Usually, the existence of a space movie in the franchise is itself the joke. Jason X has its funny moments.
can't take more than a poke in the ribs to put down this old dog. Yeah, that ought to do it.
But the fact that Jason X exists at all is also funny. It doesn't work like that for Fast and Furious. People made jokes about Fast and Furious movies going to space because it's a riff on the franchise exponentially increasing levels of absurdity. It was funny because it was actually too absurd, even for them. So when a Fast and Furious movie actually goes to outer space, they're not being a part of the joke, they're actually taking the joke away. It's not funny anymore because now it's real. They did that, and it was bad. What are we supposed to joke about now? Oh, they'll never time travel in a Fast and Furious movie. One of the most famous time machines in pop culture is a car that time travels by going really fast. Why not? They already went to space, and Universal owns Back to the Future. Dinosaurs? Universal owns the Jurassic movies too. And why not? They already went to space.
It's the worst pain I ever felt.
Maybe if they saved it for the very last movie. Maybe if they played it completely straight, with Dom himself going into space to save the world.
Maybe.
I still wouldn't like it, but it might have worked.
Oh, I'm sorry. Astronauts R Us was closed for shopping today.
But no, they send a comedy duo.
And how much candy did you eat?
Well, I eat candy when I get nervous.
If you shark in this Fiero, I swear.
And they end the whole thing with a Minions joke.
Pourquoi est-ce qu'on dirait des mignons?
It's the worst pain I ever felt.
The Tokyo Drift guys also come back. They're rocket scientists now.
Is that a Pontiac Fiero strapped to a rocket engine?
Impressive. I know.
F9 sucks.
It's the worst pain I ever felt.
At last, Fast X. Any franchise that makes it to 10 movies has to put X in the title. That's just how it works. Fast X does unfortunately sound like a laxative, but I guess it is better than Furious X. This one is an improvement on F9, but it's easy to improve on garbage. Fast X also has way too much going on, but at least it's not boring most of the time.
How much we talking about, man?
It's like a reasonable amount.
How about that?
That won't even cover the muffins.
The main thing keeping it together is the best villain in the series, Dante Reyes, played by Jason Momoa.
I'm Dante. I'm Shantae.
I haven't really talked about many of the villains in Fast and Furious because most of them aren't really worth talking about. Fast and Furious villains are the kind that unironically say stuff like, "We're not so different, you and I."
Hermano, you and me, we not so different.
Other than Deckard, DK, and maybe Cypher, they don't make much of an impression. The rat bucket torture scene from Too Fast, Too Furious did make an impression.
Get it off me! I'll forget it ever happened!
Shut up. Did you know that your average rat can chew through a steel drain pipe?
But not enough for me to remember the villain's name. It might have been because I was a kid when I first saw it, but that rat bucket is nasty. I feel bad for the guy, even though he's a corrupt cop. It's okay, I think he moved to a different city after that. Hopefully it was nice and peaceful there.
Where were the other drugs going?
Oh shit, here we go again.
Like with its stunts, the series is constantly trying to one-up itself with its villains. From the fourth movie onwards, they have a tendency to literally be directly above each other in the org chart. Braga worked for Shaw, who was not only Deckard's baby brother, but also worked for Cypher, and then Jacob took over for all of them.
Cypher came to me first. Wanted me to steal Nightshade for her. When I said no, she went after my brother.
Ah, yes. Brother Owen, who could forget him, huh?
Le chiffre, green, silver.
It's always been me, the author of all your pain.
No! It's just dumb!
They even do this with Dante, because he's actually the son of the crime lord from Fast 5. That's one hell of a retcon. I wonder who else out there has undisclosed beef with Dominic Toretto. This summer, revenge is on the house. What makes Dante stand out among the Fast and Furious villains is that he brings a very unhinged, flamboyant energy that's a great foil to Dom's alpha male posturing.
Dominic Toretto. I knew you would come for me. I'm sorry we didn't get to meet in Roma. We were both so busy. I'm Dante. Enchanté.
I can't even remember the name of the guy from Too Fast, Too Furious, but I'll never forget Dante calling Dom a butthole.
You butthole!
Pretty much all the best lines, moments, and reactions in Fast X belong to Dante.
All right, dorks, what are we blowing up? What? The Vatican? Wow. Okay, I'll do it. You guys are going to hell.
And it helps that he's also a credible, dangerous threat for the final chapters in this series. Since the end might be near, it's time for the greatest hits.
Dom, the bomb is out!
How about a car chase in a major city with a giant wrecking ball of destruction? Does that sound familiar? If only Dom knew someone who could stop a big rolling ball with his bare hands.
How'd you know where we were?
Daphne texted me.
Naturally.
Wow, what a cuck.
Even though this is a weaker and far more ridiculous version of the bank vault sequence in Fast 5.
By the way, do you see what I did there? Ball through the city was a bit of an homage to my family's safe, except it was on fire.
I gotta admit, it's kinda fun. As goofy as it gets, it's not like there's any insane leaps of logic like that bridge thing in F9. Another callback is the introduction of Ames, played by Alan You're All Wrong, He'd Be a Terrible Batman Richardson, who's been running things since Mr. Nobody disappeared. Like Hobbs, Ames is a super cop who starts out chasing Dom but ends up joining forces with him.
You are so predictable. You think everyone's gonna end up on your side? Problem is, Ames was mine first.
That could have been a clever subversion of the series' tropes, if the whole thing wasn't a footnote in a movie that has a million things going on. Seriously, there were long stretches where I just forgot Ames even exists.
Mr. Nobody said he had a daughter.
He did?
Your sister smiled with her eyes. Just like you do.
Okay, look. Libby, you're gonna go with Uncle Jacob. Okay, you do whatever he says, yeah?
Enjoy the ride, little B.
They've taken Letty.
Good morning, sunshine.
Great. What's up, OE420?
Oh, shit. Freddie Merc.
I have something to talk to you about.
The only reason a dead guy shows up at my door. Revenge.
The agency has turned its back on everything it stood for. The new boss, Ames.
Who?
It's a mess.
Sir, we have a problem. The God's Eye tracking hardware has been removed.
Tess.
Borrow their, little tracking device thingy?
Wait. The program that can track anyone, anywhere in the world is still a single portable device that is easily stolen? The stuff with Roman, Tej, Han, and Ramsey really feels like filler. The Pete Davidson side quest is egregiously pointless, and when Deckard shows up, they immediately come up with a reason for him to go away. Roman and Tej do share a moment that I almost like.
Hey. Why are you so quiet? You alright?
It was my mission. Y'all took my lead. And I messed this thing up every step of the way. I
Guess this whole leadership thing really ain't for me.
You took us to London on a container. You spent thousands of dollars of your own cash strapped to your ass that now smells like cheap cologne. Now you sitting here taking sole responsibility for something that we all wear.
Yeah, I know it sounds stupid.
Nah, it don't sound stupid at all. You know what it sounds like to me? That sounds like a leader.
The reason I almost like it is because they have a really forced fight that only exists to be a contrast to this moment, which is unnecessary.
What the hell was that? It's like a ghetto magician.
Roman and Tej make fun of each other all the time.
That's not as big as your forehead.
A serious moment between those two is already different enough from their regular interactions. It didn't need the extra push.
I love you, man.
I love you too, bro.
The returning Jacob has gone through some subtle character changes now that he's a good guy. See if you can spot them.
It's your mistake. This spy game, this is my world.
One movie later.
I want to feel sweat coming out your pool. This guy was an underwear model. What?
He also heroically sacrifices himself, and I couldn't care less.
That looks like Uncle Muscle won't be coming to the next barbecue. I mean, it's very honorable.
Mostly because I don't believe he's actually dead. Why would I? Everyone else comes back. Case in point.
You serious?
Well, at least we know Brian isn't gonna come back. Last I checked, Paul Walker is still dead. So surely there's no way they're gonna bring him back. Right?
Hold on. It's still an empty chair.
He's on the way.
F9 ends with Brian's car pulling up next to the Toretto house. And for the next, and presumably last movie in the series, Vin Diesel has gone on record saying that he wants Dom and Brian to be reunited. Please don't put a digital Paul Walker in the next Fast and Furious movie. But Stan, we already had a digital Paul Walker in Furious 7, and surely the technology has improved enough in the last decade to actually make it look completely seamless this time.
Get out.
Furious 7 used a complex combination of digital effects, body doubles, and archive footage to complete Paul Walker's final performance and give his most well-known character a proper send-off. That's not the same thing as committing digital necromancy on someone who died more than a decade ago so that Dom can hug a fake Brian. It's wrong, it's ghoulish, and Hollywood should stop doing it. Fast Forever is coming out 2028, a full 5 years after Fast X, which ended on a massive cliffhanger. The reason it's taking so long is because Fast X was a ridiculously expensive movie that massively underperformed. The last two movies have done some irreparable damage, but with a scaled-down cast, a more focused story, and less absurd stunts, Fast and Furious could still end with a bang. It probably won't, but we can still hope. In the meantime, if you haven't seen any of these movies and you're considering it, I recommend starting with Fast 5 and stopping with The Fate of the Furious. I hope you enjoyed my rambling thoughts about all the Fast and Furious movies that currently exist. This video took a long time to make, and an even longer time to watch, so if you made it to the end, thank you. Like and subscribe if you want to see more, and I promise the next one won't take this long.
I'm a wee green guy who's new to town. Show me what you do when you get down. I'll go up. You go down, we'll cause a scene, you'll love the groove. Left in the hood, come to do no good. Left in the hood, when we're bad, we're good.
Family.
Bye.